I'm so happy to see all of you. I am derelict in my presentation, that is for sure. However, uh, let me see if I can get these together so I can get a better presentation for us all. You're looking at one of my latest creations, the dragon. I'm so happy to be able to have spent some time and organize that particular piece. I've been wanting to use what's called the moire effect um, for many years in my work. And in this particular piece, I get to do that. Um, Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for reaching out. I apologize. I have not been able to reach back. It is um, not the easiest life in the world to have any disabilities, pain, emotional, spiritual, any disabilities. And I happen to have a few, and I acknowledge those. And most of you have borne witness to the worst of the worst. Now, because of my great faith in my life and my life's journey, I knew if I hung on long enough, I would get the help that I deserved, that I needed, that would help this story help even more people than it would have if I hadn't had to go through this much trauma. I want to give extreme thanks to a person that I had a conversation with today. And we're similar people in that we have this expectation of humanity that is apparently more than what other people expect of themselves. I'm not saying you, perhaps not. And if this inspires you to be more than what you think you can be, then do that. That inspiration is spirit calling you to do something better. Now, I did not know that this camera was going to work. I have not been able to do any videos for the last 3 weeks. There's been a lot going on, and I've been adjusting to a new medication. Now, this medication is in replacement for my Adderall. My Adderall is so important to this little brain that you have witnessed 3 years of insanity due to my brain being deprived of a simple salt, a salt, SALT, that it does not make on its own. When a brain doesn't make that salt, it tends to activate and cause a condition called ADHD, ADD. It would seem during the pandemic that many people decided that they were ADHD, and there became a shortage on Adderall. Not that I had any access to that. I needed a phone. I needed an internet connection. I needed a steady life, normal routine. These are the days the doctor calls. These are the days that things happen. These are the days. Now, I had those, very much so, for the prior 6 years up to my finding an impact site for a major meteorite. And in those 6 years of steadiness, I created a company. I had my company started before. I just grew it based on my partner's promises and my understanding of his ability. and other people's abilities around me. And we created great art. We had a wonderful studio. And then the pandemic hit. When I say we, I want to bring in to the fold here um, my partner. However, you wish to process that word, we were partners in life, in business. In every decision I made, on every single day, this person and I were partners. I'm a very independent person. I've never given my life to anyone like that. But here's this educated person, historically important, was a member of the Black Panther Party, brought in unionized labor here into the Coachella Valley way back when. He had 20 years on me, but yet he ran the health department of San Francisco, and he was a professor of mental health at City College when we met. Many of you won't understand this statement, but I knew he was coming. I expected him, and I anticipated everything. And I told it all to my buddy Ronnie. So Ronnie has been my biographer for the last 20 years prior to Mr. Oksana showing up, and then Ronnie passed away. Um, forgive me. Even though my meds are working, I'm still unable to call facts without some notes. Um, and I don't wish to recall that. What I do wish to is tell you folks. Behind me is that dragon I've been working on. And we're at my studio. And it's not my studio. It is the studio that I get to work at and have gotten to work at, and I'm trusted to work at, and I get to make beautiful art at. However, it belongs to many, many people, and I am blessed to have their respect and their compassion and their assistance. And as I contribute to this environment, uh, it benefits them as well. I assure you. Um, I'm rambling on a bit, but let me just get down to the details. That's what's going on. I've been on a new medication for 3 weeks. Um, my I have been specifically asking for help with communication because I understand my psychological difficulties. I've studied them and I understand why people are upset, why people don't want to help, and why people do not understand. And so I've made many attempts at getting people educated on the particular types of issues that I suffer from having a very segmented brain, where yours may be whole. I've got this piece over here, then there's a gap in the middle. I got this piece here, there's a gap in the middle, there's got this piece here. And I'm kind of, it's like Swiss cheese, and I'm filtering everything through. So I'm doing very well, I must say. And that is largely to do with the new medication. And forgive me when I do that. I have a dental appointment on Monday where finally I am getting all of my teeth taken out. I have the best insurance. Can you believe that? I have the best opportunity, and I have had since I met my partner, Mr. Oksana, who I discovered as I'm researching my own emotional and mental issues. According to what I understand, he was the major cause of most of the latest ones, and it would appear that it was on purpose. According to everything I understand, and other people that I understand, and social workers that I understand, and science that I understand. I was a victim. Now, I gave my heart, soul, my money, my everything to one person and said, "Here, control my life," because he told me to, and I trusted him. And over time, 6 years, I hadn't realized I had become this slave, this pathetic slave that couldn't make a decision without asking this almighty, powerful creator of mayhem, who at 81 couldn't even get a $175,000 loan to buy 7 acres on a mountain with a 30-year history running the health department of the great city of San Francisco. Now, no, he did not run it, but he's been sitting there in poll two, holding up other people's transitions to higher pay, to higher everything. I thought you should know. I could see that I'm getting into other topics that I didn't want to get into, and I don't want to do that. And forgive me for looking over here. This is the screen that works. This is the camera that works. The screen on this computer is a bunch of stripes. I'm trying to hold it together while we make further progress. So let me give you a quick update. By taking DOG to the dog park, I got to meet other dog people. And I find people with dogs are either disabled at a dog park. We're disabled at a dog park, by the way. That's why we go there, because we can no longer walk our animals, but we want them to have a good life. So at this dog park, I meet a lot of people, a lot of interesting people, and I meet people without legs. I meet people in wheelchairs. I meet people in all this other ways, and then we find common ground, which is usually pain and anguish. So at this dog park, I got to meet Michelle. And Michelle and I would be talking, and Michelle had a major stroke, and I have chair envy. When I say chair envy, I mean, I need and deserve an electric mobility device, and I have needed that forever. As a matter of fact, I deserve a new hip and all these other things that I have the insurance for, and I have had. And that my partner, who runs a health department, promised me that he would kind of hold my hand and make sure that I got through all that. And that never happened. I'll be a son of a gun. That never happened. So, as many of you know my partner, and I lost touch with so many of you, I lost all of your information, your contact information. I could not reach any of you. And in the meantime, I spiraled out of my mind as I was gaslit by the three people I trusted everything with, gave them power of attorney, everything, and they would tell me that they're contacting the scientists, and they're not. And they, it is so detailed. I'm not going to go into too much. But what they put me through based on their knowledge of my disability, and they explained their knowledge of my disability. My partner in my business, in my life, in that property, is vice president of the San Francisco Department of Public Health and has been for 30 years. When I met the man in 2015, he was the longest tenured professor at City College in San Francisco teaching mental health. When I met him, I told him this exact statement. I said, I'm so glad you've read the book on the care and feeding of your Jeffrey. Perhaps you can guide me from here on, because I'm magic, but I get too big. I can get as big as anybody can get, but I cannot run it. So I make $1,000 piece a day. I walk out, I meditate, put together a piece of art, People give me $1,000 and I'm happy with that. It's enough. But at that point, it was the only time in my life that I actually trusted another person with my well-being. Even though I disagreed with his decisions, I went along with them. I kept hearing phrases like, "You're so far off the reservation, I'll get you back on the reservation. Oh, your teeth are terrible, we'll get those fixed. Yeah, we're going to get you in and get you that driver's license. We're going to take care of this, we're going to take care of that. But before we do that, I need you to put a closet in my house up in San Pablo. Before we do that, I need this done. Before we do that, I need that done." And I hadn't realized what was going on until I studied what was wrong with me. Because I'd become this pathetic piece of crap. You would come to me and ask me to build a 75-foot aluminum palm tree, shoots fireworks out the top, mechanical, counts down to New Year's for Palm Springs, California every year. Yes, that's me. I made that. And somehow, this hospital administrator, this 5 foot something Filipino dude, made me feel I didn't do enough. I never noticed. See, I thought he was put in my life for me to teach him a lesson and for me to teach him about spirit. His partner had recently passed a year prior. His partner was had a master's degree in music and played the pipe organ. Why does that matter? Because a year prior to my meeting him, I had had a stroke up at Boulder Gardens. I lost the use of my left leg. And I came down to Palm Springs and I had to give my life again to spirit. And I had to argue with everybody just to give a little help. So I rebuilt my life. On my 50th birthday, I walked into a room that I knew that would save me, and it did. And I rebuilt my life. That was 2013. Without a driver's license, without an ID, without a bank account, without anybody's help, except for Ronnie. His support, his calling, making appointments, his reminding me. I found a way to rebuild my career, to rebuild my life. And a year later, Mr. Oksenia comes strolling in. Says, "Oh, I've been through this trauma and I lost someone important to me. And they were a keyboardist that died a year ago. Shortly after my 50th birthday, Ronnie moved his piano into my apartment, our apartment, in Palm Springs. And one day, clean, sober, frustrated, broke, my leg doesn't work, my hands aren't working. I sat at this piano and I began to play. And then I closed my eyes. And the most magnificent music came out. It's nothing I'd ever heard before, played before. I could not comprehend it, nor could Ronnie. He'd known me 20 years. I do not play that instrument. And yet the music was so fantastic. When I was done playing, my buddy Ronnie said to me that was the sole of a black pianist. And from then on, if I sat at a piano and I looked at the keys and I began hitting them, I could do the same thing I learned as a child. But if I closed my eyes and if I allowed Hartzell's his name, to play through me, I, as well as so many others, discovered that I get to play the piano. To this day, to play piano. Anywhere I go, I will intrude on a piano. I don't read music. I close my eyes. My dog is with me. And people shove money in my pocket because the music moves them. I do not understand evil. I did not believe it existed until one day, my birthday, on 5/31/2020, which was my 7th year sober off of alcohol, which was the longest time I've ever had off of alcohol. It was May 31st, 2020. We were 6 months into the pandemic. I'd been quarantined. This was my second property I was attempting to purchase to get out of my studio. And I'd found out that I wasn't going to get it on 5/30. There was no way Mr. Oksenia, I didn't believe I wasn't going to get it. I know it was for me. But Mr. Oksenia, his participation was limited to his life savings of $30,000 plus a $10,000 loan from a private person at 76 and making $750,000 a year. That's not a good savings plan. However, I've never needed a dime to purchase anything God wanted me to have. I apologize. I know I'm rambling, but it's late in the day and my meds are wearing off. And I have to pee. Thank you for your patience. So, let's take a moment to point out the difference between Jeffrey on medication. This is proper medication. Um, I visited the doctor today, and because the new medication was so quick to work and has none of the side effects that I did not appreciate with Adderall, um, it has so many other incredible side effects. Um, One is my tobacco intake is just down to lack of craving. I'm going to do it just because it's spiritual for me. I'm being part of my Native American processes. We'll get back to that later. Um, but also just in disbelief that something that wasn't described as that as having that positive effect. Um, then Monday, I think I might have mentioned this. I'm hoping to have all of my teeth taken out. I have to see what my insurance covers, but I have had and have always had major trauma with dentists. When I was a child, my mom would drop me off at the dentist. I'd go in there, he'd torture me, and then I'd leave. And so it really was not an effective way to teach your child dentistry or comfort them in times of trauma. But that was my life. That was my childhood, and it taught me to be who that I am and be able to help many others who have gone through the same things, because I know many others that have gone through the same thing have not landed on solid ground like I have. So I have a responsibility. Okay, I know that my words can help other people. I know they do. I know they will. And I know with your help and your understanding and everything else, we can get this together. Now, I'm sorry for the past few years, but that was intentional abuse from my partner who understood my mental health, knew I needed my medication, and did everything he could to make sure that I couldn't get it. Why? Not because he didn't want to appreciate the fact that I found a meteorite worth priceless meteorite, but the fact that he wanted to be in control. He couldn't admit that he was wrong, and I insisted that he apologize for being such a fool. I videoed it. I videotaped the encounter where he came to gaslight me, love bomb me, ghost me one more time. And because I wouldn't allow that, here's why. Because I was not going to lie to him and say, "Oh yeah, okay, you're right. These aren't meteorites. Let's go ahead and redo this place as a house because people are going to come live here at this radioactive site. That the science that's here doesn't matter. That the fact that I said once I found the meteorites, this is a scientific impact site and it needs to be treasured and it needs to be a national treasure and studied for millennia, for as long as we can study it. I want to give it to the neighborhood. It will be a source of jobs. It'll be a source of science. It'll be a source of all these things. It is not a house. It only cost me $175,000, folks. What I found was priceless. Now the story, the art, the bits and pieces have to become priceless. They have to be part of this story because that is what they chose. In this time, I discovered so much more about me. I had no idea I had so much to learn. I did not understand evil existed on this planet. Absolute evil. It does. I've never been thrown away harder. I've never been wadded up like an old paper cup. I've never been stepped on like an old tin can, as I have been with the people I trusted with my life, the people that I signed over my power of attorney. I signed over my healthcare director. I signed over my trust fund. I signed over everything to these people because I knew I had mental health issues. And I knew what I found was spectacular, and I was happy just studying it and helping others and allowing these people to run their business. And what did they do? I took down all the videos that I could. There's probably some more up there. Um, as our editing department gets together and this story is told and all the facts are coming true, um, and it all it's all happening right now. Thank goodness. My main goal is to stop any sale of the impact site. A cease and desist order must happen with my business partner, my life partner, Mr. Bruce Oksania. I have not only recently been able to have a mind that I can speak, I've only recently had someone to speak for me, someone in authority, someone who understands what I speak is truth, not about the rocks, about my mental health, about what has occurred, about the abuse that these people have manipulated. Someone in my position, blocking my ability to communicate. No phone, no internet, no car, no money to buy food. Manipulating my surroundings, manipulating everything, rewriting contracts, respelling this, redoing that. See, where I couldn't reach out to anybody and get anybody to help me, what I did was I recorded these meetings. I knew they were coming. I'm a smart person. I can anticipate my opponent, but I can't compete with money. I can't compete with credit. I can't compete with transportation when everything I have is taken away from me and I'm 4,300 feet on a mountain without an indoor bathroom and I am handicapped, physically handicapped. I've been handicapped for years. As a matter of fact, my spouse, my fiance, my business partner, Mr. Bruce Oksania, used to take my blue placard because I have so many places to park down here. He would put it in his car and go abuse the situation up there in San Francisco. He did that for years without actually helping me all the way through the process of getting my disability or getting my new teeth or getting as simple as my driver's license, the things that I'm unable to do for myself. But yet those were the promises he made. That was the grooming process. You're off the reservation. Well, I like being off the reservation. What do you mean? What's wrong with that? Oh, well, you need to be on the reservation. Why? God's taking really good care of me. I get on the reservation, what happened? Okay, get me on the reservation. Well, 6 years later, I wasn't on the reservation. I was 125 pounds. I was hauled away on a multi-year-old false charge that was supposed to have been taken care of because that was one of the promises, gaslights of Mr. Oksenius to me was, oh, that's easy. We'll take care of that. Now, since I was a child, my mother, and I went to 17 different schools before the 8th grade, and then my mother came in and clicked on the light, said, I'm going to sleep, which translated to, I'm killing myself right now, and if you try, you will save my life, which I did. Then the state came and took me, my brothers, separated us, put us in foster home. I was in an abusive Spanish-speaking foster home. Then I got back with my mother. She's an alcoholic, living in the hotels, living out of her car. I ran away at 12, got a job. I created the life that I have now. If it's not perfect to your standards, it's been perfect to God's. If it hasn't been, then why did he give me a shooting star? Why did he give me a voice? Why did he give me the ability to create things like that? You can't even see it. The glow. Okay. That's a rambling. Absolutely. But I needed to say something. I needed to get something up here. And I tried, and the camera worked. So I got a new phone. Rudy, when I met Rudy, it was because Michelle would come by the dog park and she just wanted to see the dogs. And Michelle's in her electric wheelchair, and she's like I once was. Her arm doesn't work, and she's got a leg or two that doesn't quite function, but she's got a mind. But she has difficulty doing the same things that I do. She didn't know what I knew when she had her stroke, how to get your leg and your arm back. It's neuroplasticity. I read a book called My Stroke of Insight by Dr. Joe Bolte Taylor. She taught me. That's why I can walk. That's why I can talk. Because I have had strokes. They took away my ability to walk. They took away my ability to think and talk. Now medicine, good science, has given me the ability to speak to you one more time. Given me the ability to make lists. Given me the ability to stand up and say, no, this is the story. This is how it's been done. Now, many of you have witnessed my absolute crazy online, and I did that on purpose. Because you cannot imagine what it's like to have someone that you trust and everybody that you trust tell you no. To be unable to speak without yelling. To be unable to get help. To be hungry. To have to walk outside to go take a poop. on your very first home, to when all else fails and you know you don't want to be connected to this person anymore, he's trying to throw you out. Spirit says, here, buy your own property. Here's the gift. And then in the middle of escrow, the man has a stroke. Comes out trying to cancel it because then he would lose control of me. I became the one with money. I became independent. I became everything. This is what happened when I moved up the mountain. I saved $600 a month plus all my interest, all my insurance, all my everything from having a commercial business that was going to close anyway. I was spending $1,600 a month, my money, not his. Okay, I put the check in the bank. He wrote the check to the rental agency. This man lost his mind. COVID was too much for him. He's in his 80s. He manipulated my life, manipulated my surroundings, did everything to control me. Sanctions, psychological, lied to everyone, lied. Oh, and I can prove these lies because I have the science. See, they're stating things that aren't true, but yet I have scientific tests that were performed and they're dated. I have photographs that were taken and they're dated, and their bullshit is beyond that. There are phone records, there are texts, there are emails, there are things that I made sure there was a paper trail because they knew what they were doing. They knew I wasn't going to make it to court because they cut off my internet, they cut off my phone, they cut off my income. And they filed these papers. And they knew that I would freak out. And I was already freaked out. So they just kept it going, kept feeding it, gaslighting me, ghosting me, making sure I had no control, and then sending in the cavalry. I called everyone. I called every relative I could. I called every friend I could, and I tried to explain the situation. But because my mind was broken and I couldn't believe what was going on, I was unable to communicate, and nor would anybody give a rat's ass. Everybody's so wrapped up in their own stuff. They couldn't take the time to talk to me more than once or twice. I'm sorry. I was caustic. I needed my medication. And even with it, I'm still really upset at all of you. I cannot control this machine. I'm doing the best I can. People are complaining about my movies, my videos, and everything else, but there are a lot of other people that aren't. So I'm here at 4153 Matthew Drive in Palm Springs. I would really appreciate it if anyone from my past, all of you, come here and support me. I really did find what I found. You know my history, 33 years in the desert of helping people, or attempting to, doing it solo, well, with the help of Ronnie, but I've touched a lot of lives, made a lot of differences. What they've done with their lives and what they've done with their differences is their problem. But I showed them the way, and you all know that. This desert's littered with my history. And like I always say, I left the skeletons along the road. There ain't a one in my closet. Thank you for listening. Sorry for the anger. I just am so heartbroken. This has to have a happy ending. The impact site, which is right up there, needs, that's my home. I was chased off my home by the people I trusted most, saying that I was just someone they were allowing to live there. Well, I have 92 luxury vacations in 6 years and all this history and $700,000 that went into a bank account that was joint with this person who's claiming that that's the fact. So let's say we get it in front of a court. I was incapable of getting it in front of a court. If it wasn't for the internet company up there, I would never have known what Mr. Oksania was doing. So I called to find out where my high-speed internet was. I waited 2 years for it. And it's a small town, and these lovely people said, oh, honey. Someone just called here and canceled that order and canceled your phone, your internet, said they're selling your house. And that's when I went on attack. That's when I created the video Scumdog Millionaires. That's when I wrote on the roof, this house being stolen from a disabled person, because I could not possibly get help. I called every city agency, every state agency. They sent out social workers, and they gave me things and said, here, you need to do this. I tried to explain to them, I'm incapable of doing that. You don't understand. This is a specific type of trauma. I can't function. I can't use a phone. Can't have a normal conversation. There's no way I can explain this to anybody. So as I come back to me, as Rudy has empowered me so greatly, he recognizes. I don't even have to say the words. I'll tell the story, and he say, well, that's this. And I said, I know. I've studied psychology. That's exactly what I discovered. You can bet that this story has a much better ending. I'm not dying out here a pathetic artist. I'm not a drunk. I'm not an addict. I'm not any of that. I went through major trauma as a child. Major trauma. Not because I did anything wrong. Because my mother was a drunk. Because of that, I got to grow up poor white in America. Well, what happened to me? I found spirit, and I followed spirit. And in the end, at 57, spirit gave me fabulous wealth and a gorgeous home. After all my trials and tribulations. And then evil came in and said, no, that can't be possible. I don't believe in spirit. Mr. Oksania, Leslie Wheeler, Bob Grabo. The only reason they got away with it, they knew that I needed my medication. And as long as they kept me from being able to get that, I would not be able to get help for myself. I could not get help. Absolutely not. And I documented it all. I created 5,223 videos. And they're of me going from insanity to, well, now. I'm sane again. And I have people that understand that I'm sane again. They're giving me the support that I need. That are helping me fill out those forms that are so pesky for me. They're helping me. Because they know what I'm speaking is the truth. What I found 3 years ago is no longer big news. It was news 3 years ago. It should have been reported 3 years ago. There shouldn't have been any of these issues. Why couldn't I get it done? Because I suck at this computer stuff because of my strokes. And I forget things on a daily basis, especially when I'm gaslit, ghosted, or jived and kept in a state of utter panic, which is what my partner managed to do for me. I'm Jeffery Spakes, the artist, the philosopher, the desert rat. I've never been able to talk to you. Not on any level that you live in, because you're still trying to pay your rent when I'm trying to house multitudes of homeless people, and I have the money to do that. And people are trying to block that. Why? So this is a rambling, and I needed it to happen because it just sits there. And I tried writing this. I'm supposed to write down the story because there's a television station coming, and I got to write it down, but I need someone to help me. I need to be able to tell this to somebody, and they can take notes. They can ask questions. You know how hard it is to sit here and try and tell a story to a camera? The one thing that I have going for me in all my videos, in all my stories throughout my life, is I've always told the truth. And since my memory sucks, all I have to do is remember the truth. And that's why I get to win. See, through this whole story, I've told the truth all the way through. But Mr. Oksana, Mr. Wheeler, Mr. Grabeau, their stories have changed. Oh, my goodness, they've changed. And I have everything in writing, everything in emails, everything in text, everything in video. See, even though I couldn't speak, I was smart enough to make sure I got the evidence that would incriminate them. So as Mr. Wheeler would gaslight me and say, "Oh, we're going to help you, but please, you have to calm down. I can't understand the yelling." No, here's why you got to stop asking me to calm down, because that's a trigger for CPTSD. Here's a video. Oh, I'll be happy to watch these videos, and that'll help me understand you better. And it wasn't, I don't know how many I sent until I realized that this, and then I tested him, and I sent him this phrase that had he watched the previous video, he would have known that was a bad phrase. Then I did it again. It was more gaslighting. Now, these are all guys in the same age group. They're all timeshare queens, all this stuff. Baby boomers, they ruin the planet. Yeah, give them some support. I can't help it. This is the first time I've been on forever, and there's just no way I can discuss this topic without getting mad. If there was someone sitting here, I could speak to them, and we could talk, and a story would be easier told. And it doesn't help that my teeth are really hurting. And on Monday, I have an appointment. I hope they just rip them all out. And that was something that was promised to me 10 years ago when I first met Mr. Oksana. Here we are. And I understand what gaslighting is. I understand what love bombing is. I understand what ghosting is. I understand what all those are because of you. You do teach mental health, Mr. Oksana. Cease and desist now.